Everyone, my name is Naz and I welcome to you in my channel Naz PATHSHALA. So it is one more story I have taken for you. A story how the king learned to keep his words. So what is the meaning of this and what we will learn through this story? In this story we will learn as usually the last videos. You will learn tenses, vocabulary, reading, the way we all are reading like this. So let's start. Long, long ago, there lived a Fudka, a whooping bird, who was king of the birds. He lived in a grove of trees that grew near a king's palace. One day, when the queen and her ladies were walking in the grove, some birds dropping fell on her sari, and eek, she screeched, "Dirty, nasty little bird, how dare you mess my sari?" That evening, when the king returned to the palace, he found it in darkness. Not a lamp had been lit. He went in and saw his queen, hair loose, weeping bitterly. The tray of food on her table was untouched. "What is the matter, dear one?" asked the king, anxious and worried. "A dirty little bird soiled my sari," she said, her voice shaking with anger. "I want every bird in the kingdom killed. If you don't kill the birds, I will starve to death." Now, the king adored the queen, but he knew she was wrong. He tried to reason with her to get her to change her mind, but the queen wouldn't relent. "I will starve to death if you don't," she repeated. So much against his will, the king gave the order: "Send out the trappers and should be caught and then killed." The terrified birds flew to the Fudka. "Oh, save us, your majesty, save us!" they cried. "I will," he said, and flew off to the palace to see the king. "Oh, king of man, how can you kill all my subjects because one little bird soiled the queen's clothes? I apologize for the little bird. Forgive him and change the order. Release the trapped birds, set them free. It will never happen again." The king, who had not wanted to give the order in the first place, forgave the little bird and ordered his men to free the others. Chirping happily, the birds streaked out of the windows and flew away. But when the queen heard that the birds had been freed, she stamped and raged and ranted. "I don't care what you promised the king of birds. I want those birds trapped again and killed. Otherwise, I will starve to death." So once again the king ordered his trappers to snare all the birds. In a few days, all the birds, big and small, had been trapped again. When the Fudka heard that the birds had been captured once more, he was very angry. Flying into the palace, he alighted on the king's throne, the first guilty. "You went back on your words," the Fudka said. "You promised the birds would go free, and yet I see them in cages. They say a king's promise is written in stone, but yours is written in sand." "I'm sorry, same-faced king. If I had not trapped the birds, my queen would have starved herself to death." The Fudka looked at the king with utter contempt. "What kind of king are you to be so easily swayed? You forgave the little bird. Once forgiveness is given, it should stay given. So the birds were freed and should have stayed free. But you broke your promise and went back on your word. Shame on you. You are no king. No, no, dishonors is promise. The footcard sketching words bit the king deep. He knew the Futka was right. He, the king, had done great wrong by going back on his word. He could not use his queen's demand as an excuse. The birds will be freed immediately and will never be trapped again. He said quietly, I humbly ask your forgiveness. The Futka nodded and flew off. The queen heard that the king had freed the birds again and was about to throw another tantrum when the king held up his hand. The little bird soiled your sari accidentally, and I have forgiven him. To kill all the birds for such a tiny mistake is wrong. I have given my word to the king of birds that birds will not be trapped and they won't be sad firmly. You can do as you please. Forgive the little bird or starve yourself to death. The choice is yours, he said and walked away. The queen learned her lesson and became a nice person, and the king never went back on his word again. So, from this story, we learned that whatever you are going to promise somebody, you always try to fulfill their promise, because once you have promised and break the promise, you will never get a good person, because you have to stick with your words. You have to fulfill their words, otherwise it will give you a bad impact on your character, right? So you have to fulfill your, and just read this story again and again, and learn tenses, present and past perfect tense, and past continue tense. Okay, so the main thing is that from the story you will learn past tense, okay, and the vocabulary reading. Okay, so just enjoy it. Thank you for watching. If you like my videos, please hit the bell icon for more updating videos. Like, share, comment and subscribe my channel Nas PATHSHALA. Thank you. Take care and be safe.